What's up, y'all? My name's Moman3000 and today I'm trying out this new thing called sitting down. Today we are talking about the shadow, which is a concept we have been talking about on this channel for quite some time, so let's get into it. To some degree, we all have a fascination with the bad guys in a story. Some would wager to say that a story just ain't all that good if its villains aren't up to par. A sentiment I happen to agree with, which is why I think some of the Marvel movies, like 75% of the Marvel movies, are kind of mediocre. A hot take, I know. Hannibal Lecter, Patrick Bateman, Norman Bates, Norman Osborn, Light Yagami, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, Sauron, Arthas the Lich King, Azula, the Joker, etc., etc. These are some of the most despicable, maniacal, ruthless characters in all of literature. We are supposed to hate them, but there is a small part of us deep down that absolutely loves them. The reason we love these characters is because it represents a crucial part of ourselves that we deny and keep buried. I'm talking, of course, about the shadow. And finally, it gets its own dedicated video. Part 1, Jungian Psychology. The easiest way to conceptualize our shadow is to think about it like it is our evil side. However, I think this dilutes the complexity of this idea. In truth, the shadow is just one part of an overarching concept. This concept is called individuation, which is created by Carl Jung. I'm not going to pretend like I have the deepest understanding of these ideas, so here is the gist. Carl Jung believed that at the center of an individual psyche is this thing called the self. He believed that there are two realms of consciousness: consciousness and unconsciousness. He also believed that dreams were the best way to connect to our unconscious because dreams are completely unfiltered and they appear to come from the unconscious. Part of the realm of the unconscious is the shadow. It is important to note that the realm of the unconscious is always trying to be represented in conscious reality. This is also true for the shadow. The persona is a mask or a filter we use to make ourselves more acceptable and or presentable to society. As our persona is being created, so too is our shadow. If the persona is all the things that we want people to see, the shadow is all the things that we don't want anyone to see, including ourselves. These are parts of ourselves that we do not want to acknowledge. The persona is everything we want other people to see. It's superficial, surface level. The persona is, in a sense, a presentation. You can think of it like this. Every time Light Yagami has to go out in public, he has to put on a persona. He has to put on a performance to prevent anyone suspecting him of being Kira. In the same vein, when I go out in public, I am, in a sense, playing the character of me, even though I'm not necessarily being my authentic self, whatever that means. The shadow is all the things we would rather not be presented to the world. It's our greed. It's our anger. It's our jealousy. Fear, insecurity, and weakness. All of these things are created in our unconscious mind and are partially influenced by our conscious values. One of the realms of unconsciousness is the collective unconscious. Once again, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I have a PhD in psychology, alright? So take everything I say with a grain of salt. As always. The collective unconsciousness, as defined by Google, is the part of the unconscious mind which is derived from ancestral memory and experience and is common to all humankind. So, yeah, that's that. My interpretation is that the shadow is a response to both individual and social values. Part 2, the will of the shadow. I believe that the shadow has a will of its own. Its will is to manifest in reality just as our persona. I believe the shadow to be a mechanism that causes negative emotions. Fear, anger, envy, lust, pride, disgust, etc., etc. The shadow is a mirror. It reflects the things we hate about ourselves through other people. This means the shadow is able to leak into reality through projection. Let me give you a real-world example. I used to be a bit of a bully. I'm not proud of this fact, but it is a fact nonetheless. If I see someone who doesn't seem as intelligent as me, someone who seems to be shy or insecure, who pretends to be more confident than they actually are, I get angry. They should know their place. Can't they see they're embarrassing themselves? Why are they trying? Just shut up and hide and be complacent like the rest of us. Just shut your mouth. No one wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear you talk. So why get angry? The shadow is a mirror, and the shadow is reflecting back to me all of the aspects about myself that I absolutely despise, like insecurity. Through these people, my shadow was manifesting itself into reality. At the time, I didn't exactly know what was going on. I didn't have any sort of frame of reference for understanding what was happening. I was young. I was a dumb little kid. I was quite easily deceived by my shadow. I had never even considered that what I was actually looking at was my insecurities rather than an actual person. I was essentially blind to my shadow. I ignored it. This is dangerous. If your shadow presents itself to you in reality and you choose to ignore it, you are giving it leeway to control your conscious reality. When the shadow takes control, the degree to which it influences our behavior depends on the individual in question. Basically, the more competent and capable you are, the worse the outcome will be for yourself and everyone around you. Anakin Skywalker is a magnificent example. He was the greatest Jedi of his time, an accomplished war hero and a beloved champion of the Republic. As we all know, Anakin Skywalker had a dark side. The spirit of vengeance, Darth Vader, was growing inside of Anakin every moment. Just as Darth Vader struck terror into the hearts of everyone around him, so too did he strike fear into the heart of Anakin, and probably more so than anyone else. And rightfully so. You see, Anakin Skywalker chose to ignore the presence of his shadow, instead of facing it head-on, and because of this, he lost everything. If Anakin Skywalker had the strength to face Darth Vader before Revenge of the Sith, Anakin would have remained a Jedi, and the Jedi would have remained, alive. Now let's compare Anakin Skywalker losing control to his shadow versus Jerry from Rick and Morty. Doesn't strike much fear. Doesn't strike much terror because Jerry, notoriously, not capable of all that much. No. Jerry's a big fat loser, and he ain't capable of much, so he ain't very scary. Part 3. Recognizing the shadow. If our shadow reveals itself to us, it is a sign that something has to change. As Jordan Peterson says, and I am paraphrasing, it either means we have to grow the hell up or we have something to say. Now that we know how the shadow presents itself, it is time to discuss what must be done. Now keep in mind, our shadow is unique to us as individuals. It will usually present itself by eliciting an emotional reaction in us. This emotional reaction is usually triggered by another person. The shadow projects itself onto another person and reflects back to us all the things we hate about ourselves. Unless we are actively aware of this, we become blind to the shadow and more susceptible to its influence. Okay, so how do we actually recognize the shadow when it is manifesting in real time? What do we actually do about it? What are we actually gonna do about it? 1. The shadow only elicits negative emotions. 2. The shadow comes with a moral dilemma attached to it. 3. The shadow demands a change of the status quo. An example from my life would be the social outlier. This person is awkward and annoying and has no common sense social cues. Usually the social outlier is a good person, they just don't really have any social awareness. They don't have a properly formed persona, nor the awareness that they Probably need one. The emotion. This person is reflecting back at me my own fear and vulnerability. It reflects my insecurity and my desire to be liked by other people. I see all of these weaknesses and I get angry. I don't like it. I don't like being reminded that I am vulnerable and weak. Through my social group, my shadow projects back at me my harsh, critical, and admittedly judgmental nature. 2. The moral dilemma. Because of these projections, I now view this person as a threat to the current social structure. Going out of my way to talk to this person could risk the social standing in the social group that I've worked pretty hard to build. On one hand, I'm nice to the social outcast. Yay, brownie points! On the other hand, I reject this person and condemn them to the very isolation that I fear most. Fun! 3. Change of the status quo. If I go out of my way to talk to this person and my social group rejects me, perhaps it says more about them than it says about me. Perhaps I'm quick to ostracize someone because I myself am afraid of being ostracized. Is it possible that people aren't as judgmental or punitive as I am, or as I think? Why exactly am I feeling so insecure about myself? Why do I feel as though my status in the social hierarchy is at risk? Is it because I truly am weak? Potentially. Jordan Peterson says that people lower in a social hierarchy tend to have lower levels of serotonin. They also happen to be quite fragile. The smallest thing can absolutely demolish these people. Am I totally weak and vulnerable, or is my self-image just totally screwed? How can I start building my confidence? These are the types of conversations that come up when we start to face our shadow head on. The process for integrating our shadow into our lives, like everything, takes patience, perseverance, and introspection. Honest introspection. Once we have developed the skill of bringing our shadow forward and staring it in the face, we will accelerate our progress by an unquantifiable degree. Though it is a painful process, the shadow is doing us a huge favor by exposing to us our weaknesses, flaws, and vulnerabilities. We can't fix a leak if we don't know that there's a leak to be fixed in the first place. We can think of shadow development as another form of basic maintenance and is absolutely crucial in order to fulfill our potential and become gods amongst men. To become living legends, the best around, that no one can bring down. What's up, y'all? If you're watching this right now, it means you watched this video all the way through, and for that, I am truly grateful. Thank you so much. In the description, you will find some resources that I believe will be incredibly helpful to you on your own magnificent journey. These are affiliate links, which means with every purchase made, I get a small percentage. Keeping that in mind, I urge you to purchase these things only if you have met the following requirements. 1. You actually have the money to buy it. 2. You believe you will actually use this. And 3. You believe that it will actually be helpful to you on your journey. Once again, y'all, I would like to thank you so much for your support. It really means the world to me. And as always, I will see you in the next one.